another early morning maintenance stream. Pardon the mess in the background. I got a lot of random bark and containers and crap. Big old box of 8 crates I got from TSK Supply for stuff. But yeah, I am at it again with the maintenance. And yeah, let's keep going. Actually, this is a container I'm gonna drill some holes into. This is a Marva Marva Pulchella, uh, enclosure. And these are a new, kind of new species for culture. Alan John collected them and sent them to a few people, myself included. And it's just a small, pretty, I think U.S. native species of earwig. But I had them in a 16-ounce deli cup, and they've been breeding, so now I just moved them to something a bit larger. An old protein powder container. But I rehoused them last week, and I forgot to put any ventilation in their container, so doing that now. And then I'll resume maintenance as normal. Now, most earwigs can't climb, which is good. So for these, I give them a few inches of substrate, and then I just poke a few dozen holes on the lid, and then I'll probably put a few on like the very upper sides of the enclosure, and then after that, call it good. So they don't need that much in the way of ventilation. I just don't want them to suffocate and die because it's so freaking hot in here. Hence why I'm in shorts and tank top. And it's been a pretty hot month here in Idaho. I mean, the thermometer in here is reading 86, which is where I want it at anyways, but outside, oh my god, it's been like 100 plus degrees for the past week. Ridiculous. But I guess that's basically the new norm now, isn't it? For summers in much of the US. Much of the world now, to be honest. Well, a lot of these didn't even go through. A lot of these holes. Some upper sides, and that should be fine. These really don't need much in the way of ventilation. It needs to be some. Prevent excess buildups of condensation and stuff. Make sure they have some oxygen exchange, especially since I'm keeping them pretty warm. But yeah, not a whole lot. Today I'm going to do something different. I usually start with the beetles, but I'm going to start with roaches today for maintenance. So that'll be interesting. Starting maintenance pretty late today, so again, I'm probably not going to get it all done today. Probably have to end up doing maintenance tomorrow, or maybe even the day after. And then later this week, I'll be going up to Seattle with my mom and sister for a few days. So that'll be neat. Alright, I think that's good. Get enough of these. I have tried ripping the sticker off of these, by the way, but the stickers on this brand of protein powder, they're like they're really stuck on there. If you peel it off, it just leaves like glue everywhere and it gets sticky, and hair and dirt sticks to it. So it looks better if the label's just on it. But yeah. All right. I caught a female, I'm hoping mated, harvestman. I haven't bothered trying to ID it to species, but it's one of the basic, like, typical daddy longlegs, probably a European adventive. But caught her, she's doing well. She's really fat, so really plump. So I'm hoping she reproduces for me. I haven't seriously tried breeding like these more typical backyard harvesting for a while, so it'll be interesting to see if I can get it done. I'd imagine it won't be too difficult. I'll actually give her some bark. A bunch of bark out of my Phyllis peas enclosure and replacing it with egg crate. Because to be quite honest, I'm not really utilizing the bark as much as I had hoped. So switching that up, but so now I have some extra bark that I'm just gonna throw in some stuff. But what I wanted to say with that though is that there's freaking Compsodies in my Cephalophilus enclosure somehow. So there's some on that bark, so I just threw some in with the harvestman. So we'll see if it actually, eats maybe baby Compsodies. But all right, that's it for that. Let's get to some roaches. Also, so let me turn. Well, I'll leave that. So, recently I got a group of tree cattle. Some of you might remember me mentioning this in a previous stream. Unfortunately, those have all died. It doesn't seem like they bred for me. I don't know what. I don't really know what went wrong with those, to be honest. I'm just not meant to keep that species, so that really sucks. However, very ironically, the unsterilized twigs that I put in there for them to feed off of, because they feed off pretty much exclusively off of biofilms that accumulate on bark and sticks and stuff in the wild. So I threw in some sticks that I gathered from my backyard, from some shrubs back there, and there was a native. Well, I mean, I assume native, could be adventive, but there was a species here in my yard of basically just a tiny, tiny version of the tree cattle. Another Socid with wings that lives on sticks, and they're much, much, much smaller than the tree cattle I received, and a lot less colorful. They're just kind of brown with reddish heads. But those have started breeding. So I didn't breed the Socid I wanted, but I did manage to breed a species in that setup accidentally. So I thought that was pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, they seem to be doing well in that setup. So I guess I got a Idaho species of tree cattle, just much smaller, and not as pretty. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. So we'll see how those do. Do some hisser bins I'm doing maintenance on. Somehow Compsody has been getting in everything lately. There's certainly a lot in my hisser bins. I need to get more stuff that eats Compsodies, to be honest. Alright, so there's that. What is that? But speaking of Blapstinus, though, I did pop some Blapstinus. Well, I say speaking of Blapstinus, I guess I should provide more context. Someone on the live stream that I had with ISO Buddies last night was talking about Blapstinus, a small U.S. native darkling genus. And my colony of those was not doing so hot, so I threw them in with some with my Elliptorina laevigata pair, and I see a few adults crawling around in here, so hopefully those are gonna breed. Yeah, kind of a Hail Mary with those. I've almost had this Blapstinus colony going on for years now, but I might be about to lose them, so hopefully they breed in this setup. But, yeah, I got a bunch of egg crate from TSK Supply, and I'm just kind of throwing that in a lot of my hisser bins, since egg crate seems to be like a preferred hide for a lot of hissers, and despite my name being Hisser Dude, I've not been doing so hot with a variety of hisser species lately. And I do wonder if it's just because it seems like a lot of my females just abort ooths randomly, and I do wonder if it's due to a lack of suitable hides. The females feel stressed, I give them bark and stuff, but I guess it's not as tight of a fit as they would like, or maybe not as snug of a hide. I don't know. So I'm giving them some egg crate, and let's see if I get some of them to start popping. Because I would like to be more successful with more hissers. There's a few species I have that do like phenomenal for me, and then there's several I've tried that just don't do well. So I'm just hoping this is part of the problem that I can fix. All right, that should be cool. Yeah, I'm just thinking that maybe some of the hisser species, the females might like to have more of a tight, snug sort of hide. It's not quite as flat or more concave, in order to feel safe and feel safe enough to give birth, basically. That's the thing with a lot of blabberid, non-burrowing blabberids. The females basically need to have a very secure sense of, they're digmostatic, so they like to be pressed between tight spaces. And if they don't have those tight spaces that they can squeeze into, they never feel safe enough to breed, basically. So that is my running theory on why some of my hissers might not be doing so hot. So I'm putting it to the test. Ailuropoda sinus, flathorn hissers. I keep forgetting if I've shown this male off on stream or not. This is my largest Ailuropoda sinus male. This is a flathorn hisser. And this is a species that I feel like a lot of people don't realize just how big they can get. These are the males, the major males get some serious size to them. And like the pronotum on them too are just so like outrageously what is the word I'm looking for? Sculpted. Like they have such a prominent anterior scoop, and then like little horns on the ends of each of those little margins there. I don't know. Really, really pretty. Really interestingly shaped cockroach, and they get huge. So yeah, I don't know. Underrated hisser in my opinion. So yeah. But these guys are again one of those species that is not doing that well for me. Although part of that I feel is the fact that I got pretty unlucky. I've had a male heavy group to begin with, so I don't think that's been helping matters. But these guys, again, I'm going to throw in some egg cartons and see. I got a couple females in here, and they look pretty gravid. I got some female nymphs that have yet to mature, a bunch of adult males. So, by all accounts, I should be getting reproduction out of them. So, we're going to throw in some egg cartons and see if that helps. Maybe like this. Trying to think. I'm gonna cut this out. Actually, quite a few nymphs in there. Alright. Put this in here. Gotta get things to fit in here a little better. Honestly, we'll just under the egg crate, this top. This is all about giving them that extra, sense of security hiding between these eggplants. So hopefully that makes something happen. Alright. Yeah, if you guys want good, like, bulk egg flats, I would recommend TSK Supplies. Because I looked on Amazon and I could not find any for a decent price. This, I think, was like $45 for 70 large egg flats. I'm pretty sure. So, pretty decent price point for that many large egg flats, in my opinion. From what I could find. If you're lucky enough to have like a bakery or a deli or something nearby that, will lend you their used egg cartons, and that's great, but I don't have that in my area. None of the grocery stores here seem to keep their egg flats. Alright, I'm going to fill this up with water though. I'll be right back. Let's just pour a little bit of water down the side there. Good. These are my Arenovaga floradensis Tampa. A very healthy colony of floradensis. Lots of life stages in here. Got lots of new adults popping up from both sexes. Ton of nymphs. Yeah, he does good. Doing really good. Yeah, this is one of those species that a lot of people are really struggling with, myself included. And then it comes out that really all you need to be successful with them is just keep them on plain sand. Which I wouldn't recommend for a lot of Arenovaga, but some of them do definitely seem to prefer it. Mostly the actual dune dwellers. Alright. That should be good. Drop in a few pieces of dog food. That should be good. Alright. I just dropped this setup. Oops. These are a couple of Princessia van Becky big black females that I crossed to my male Andromeda before he passed away. And still no babies from them, but the females are really fat. Again, I'm thinking maybe they haven't aborted ooths either, so they should be gravid. And I do think again, lack of proper hides is to blame for their lack of reproduction. So I gave them egg crates yesterday. So we'll see if that fixes anything. That there. This here. Yeah, really hoping for something to come out of that. Got my dark striped Masawala project going here with a couple females and a male. Hoping these start popping soon too. Right. 14. These are Grumphiorini species black. which were previously traded as black tiger hissers, but they are not descended from the tiger line of Princessia van Marabeki, or at least if they were, they've since been bastardized and hybridized with Grumphorderina, because the pronotum is much more reminiscent of Portentosa. But even then, to be honest, to me it almost looked like a Princessia and Portentosa hybrid more than anything. Line bred for black coloration. There's still a neat old line of hisser though, and they kind of have somewhat unique morphology. They're very slender for a Grumphorderina or Princessia. So Kyle seems to think they might be pure Portentosa. I don't think so. Based off the morphology, they look a little different. I do think they're hybrids of some sort, but it's a line-bred hybrid strain that has a unique morphology, unique look to them. So I'm still deciding to maintain them in spite of that. But I certainly would not label them as any pure species. So I'm sticking to Grumphorderini species, black. Not even black tiger, because that's a confusing strain name. It would imply that they are of descent from regular tigers, which they could be. They could have originally been tigers that were then crossed with Portentosa or something, but until we know for sure, I think it's just better to label them as species black. I don't really know what to do with these egg cranes. We have these here. Egg crane on this side. Yeah. I think that'll be sufficient for a small group. I got like 2 males, 3 females from Kyle, so should be able to start a colony of these guys pretty easily. Now that they've all matured. Should be good. Got Leptarina Chapardi, and a single, my last remaining Andromeda female that's so decrepit but refuses to die. Yeah, Chapardi, I'm pretty sure I'm going to give them some 8 crates too. Let's try to flatten this out. Make that a little easier. Yeah, Leptarina Chapardi are another dwarf species that I think are very underrated. They're so cute. And they got some nice crisp orange coloration to them. I like them a lot. Good. My Neostylopyga rumbifolia here, I really need to rehouse them soon. Their enclosure is filled to the brim with frass and dead bodies. and they just keep on breeding, but there's not much room left for them, so I gotta rehouse them soon. And by rehouse, I mean just scoop out all that old substrate, top it off with something new, and then a bunch of egg crates probably. But, in my dubia / Alphidobias setup, they're doing pretty well. Arguably, maybe too many buffalo beetles in here, but you know, they help keep the forage flies away, so I'll take them. These guys, some egg crates as well. A pair of Kyle's old Princessia stock, which still haven't bred for me, so a little concerned. As you might be able to notice, I don't bother washing my produce. At least not the apples. Because really, unless you're buying organic, the risk of pesticide contamination on apples is pretty low. I know Kyle from Roach Crossing, he never washes his produce either. He primarily uses apples and bananas as well. But again, organic produce I would wash, but non-organic produce, a lot of it is not really coated that heavily in anything that would be harmful for bugs. Although I have heard, what is it, Aldi's? I think that's like a convenience store, a grocery store on the East Coast. I've heard a lot of things about Aldi's produce, like killing people's roaches. So those, if you get it from, I wouldn't get produce from Aldi's for roaches, but if you're going to, maybe wash that. But I mean, I just get my apples at a local grocery store here at Winco here in Idaho, and it has never had any pesticides on it, as far as I can tell. At the very least, nothing has ever died in my collection that I thought was because of pesticide poisoning. You know, those real twitchy, spastic movements on like dying roaches and stuff. That's usually what you associate with pesticide poisoning. I've never really had that happen to my colonies. So clearly it's pretty good, pretty safe. Nice. Princessia Van Rebecca black and white. So these guys have not bred for me still. Had them for a decent bit now. These females are really fat and gravid. So my tigers are breeding for me, so I don't know why these guys are not. These are basically just tigers blind bred for different coloration, in my opinion. It's probably the same parent stock or same locality or very close locality. Yeah, let's see. Speaking of things that wrote history that have not bred for me, my Gramphidorina obligonota, which at least these are supposedly much more tricky to breed. Gramphidorina, it seems a lot of people struggle to get them to give birth. Okay. I am going to. There's a lot of Compsodies in that bin, though, so I'm going to actually dump them in my Compsodies. Yeah, Compsodies really seem to thrive in Hisser enclosures, in case anyone's wondering. I think Compsodies like it drier than I had anticipated. Not completely dry, though. But they need some humidity, but, you know, they don't seem to like it swampy either, I've noticed. Yeah, I don't know. My Obligonota females are fat as heck, but still no babies from them. But I'm gonna toss in some egg crate and see what that does. I got lots of leaf litter in the. Here, you know what? I'm just gonna. Might as well take care of the Compsodies while I'm here. Just dump that and that. I'm also gonna give the Compsodies some egg crate. They could use some more surface area. Maximize their breeding. These are a pretty popular seller for me. The Compsodies, people like them. They're good micro feeder. They're probably one of the very few like feeder species that I produce in a pretty sizable quantity. And there we go. Maintenance on Compsodies is done. And I just dropped my Parkblotta Caudelli container, and I'll deal with that later. Alright. Let's put this down. Gramphidorina center. Yeah, hopefully my Obligonota produce babies soon, because I would love to rear up some major male Obligonota and see those in person. The male I have is pretty puny minor, but supposedly these guys are very impressive at their full size, so I really want to see them. I'll send one more. Alright. Alright. That's Where did I put the charge? Yeah, I'll just do that. This here. This is my Gyna capucina enclosure, which I put like a container on the top of the substrate that like the adult females can dig into, because it seems like the adult female Gyna, some of the Gyna species, especially like Capucina, Bisanulata, Sculpturata, don't really seem to like being interrupted by or bothered by their cohabitants, specifically nymphs. So I've been putting containers like these filled with substrate on top of the substrate so that nymphs can't get in, but adult females can, and they can choose to birth in these if they want to. I'm not really sure if they take advantage of it much, though. But I'm having decent success with breeding these as of late. I think I got a new litter of Gyna capucina the other day. Because there's some itty bitty ones in here now. And my Sanulata are breeding pretty well too, so yeah, there's a lot of adults in here right now. Mostly in the actual substrate. Yeah. So these Gyna capucina, these are pink roaches, by the way, for those who don't know. A very pretty species. One that can be a little challenging at times, but yeah. Just get rid of some moldy food. Where they go in between periods of like eating a ton, like cannibalizing if they don't have enough food, and then they just randomly stop eating. It seems. But yeah, these guys seem to be doing well so far. Hoping for a few large broods this generation to get the population exploding. A male flew out and is currently on the wall. Let me go see if I can catch him. Got him. Yeah, Gyna are amazing flyers, by the way. Like, really, really good at flying. Let's explore this. I'm back at using the mosquito bits again. I'm really not loving the forward fly situation at the moment. I moved quite a few of my larger hister colonies that are like magnets for forward flies, even when there's no dead bodies. I moved quite a few of those out to my garage. And so far they seem to be handling handling that move pretty well. Like it gets to like probably 100 degrees in the garage during some of these warmer days, but I imagine it's probably normally that warm in Madagascar. So, their enclosures have good ventilation, so they seem to be handling the heat pretty well. And then the temperature dips at night. Again, probably no different from Madagascar. So yeah, at least for the summer here. I've got those out there, so that's reducing the forward population by a little bit. And actually, this But yeah, so basically all the history colonies that are really, really, really popping off, like my Chromphidorina, species unidentified, the Conciscia, Fenwar Becky Big Black, Chromphidorina, Portentosa Massawala, those are all in the garage at the moment. Along with my Chromphidorina Portentosa Massawala, my main Massawala enclosure. My colony of those has been kind of in a downward spiral that I can't seem to pull them out of for quite a while. So those are also becoming a forward fly magnet, so I threw them out in the garage. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on with the Massawala Portentosa, but I just, in a last-ditch effort to try to get some females to give birth, I did give them a whole bunch of egg crate hides stacked up, and I will probably be getting a group from Kyle here in the next couple weeks, and hope that revamps the colony. I think it will. Which is not to say that I think that my colony's inbred or anything like that. I just think that I screwed something up with the husbandry, and so the individuals that are left are not the most physically fit, and therefore I probably need a restart anyways. New blood that's actually healthy and will breed now that I think I've fixed the husbandry. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing. So some of the Arenovaga colonies I got. Arenovaga CF erratica Phoenix, which of the CF erratica strains I have, these are the prettiest in my opinion. So nice. So nice looking. Yeah, these guys are taking off pretty well. I might actually be able to start making these available soon. These are the CF Hopkinsorum from Pina Blanca, Arizona. These are really nice. The male's very dark, mottled all over. Really hoping at the end of the year I can get some. By the end of the year, I really hope I can get some those long-winged Varia that we thought were nuptialis but aren't actually nuptialis. Probably undescribed. Love some of those. I'd really love a Eupolyphagus species that's not Sinensis. That'd be cool. I have 3 strains of Sinensis now. I have the old hobby stock, which a single adult female and some small nymphs that Easy Eddie of Edwin, the Isopod guy. He sent me his last group of those. I think I should be able to get a colony started from, as long as one of the small nymphs is a male. I have that strain, then I have the old hobby stock, but the wide-eye strain, which I have a pretty robust colony of those. And then I have the Eupolyphaga sinensis from Peking, China, which is a locality strain of sinensis. The males of those look pretty cool, but I have not, I haven't gotten pictures of them, and I also haven't seen males of the normal old hobby stock to compare to the Peking males, but yeah, they look neat. So I'm not sure how different they are from the hobby stock, but it's nice to have a locality strain of old hobby species. Yeah, I mean, now that I have those, I kind of just want more Eupolyphaga species in general. Something that's not sinensis. I was really hoping we would get Ergaula capensis in the U.S. hobby at some point. A few people in Europe had those going, the African species of Ergaula, but it would appear that there's really no one breeding those anymore, which is a shame. But yeah, what can you do, right? Right now I'm just looking through my Pseudoglomerus magnifica Kunming setup, which yeah, I feel like these have given birth a couple times, but I've not really been seeing many of the nymphs. I was a little worried that they're dying off, but it looks like there's some hiding in quite a few hiding in the cork, the little tunnels in the cork bark, which is why I love cork bark for a hide for the Paraspherae. They really seem to like utilizing those as nymphs. I should be getting another load of cork bark here soon, actually, from Angela Winnick. Yeah, these Kunming coppers, though, at my colony, I oversold way too much in them last year, I think. This year, I'm not really going to sell any of the coppers. I'm just going to let my population build up. And hopefully next year, I'll have a really robust population to, sell from of these guys. Let's see if I can show this off, though. Hello, good morning. So this is an adult female Kunming, and it's kind of hard to see, but maybe if I shine a light through, you can kind of see she's sitting on a bunch of babies. There you go. Kind of see it. See him moving around in there. It's kind of hard to position it. But yeah, really cool. I love the maternal care that these have for their offspring. Just adds another level of interesting behavior to them. Yeah, it's not bother her too much. I will say with the Kunming specifically. Oh, I just broke my headlamp. That's nice. Dang, that just ripped right off. The plastic bit here just ripped right off that holds the bands in place. That's lovely. Good thing I have another one, but shoot, I need to buy another. But yes, these are the emerald cockroaches, tetra. Well, technically these are the Kunming China strain of Pseudoglomerus magnifica. So these are technically copper. They're not really emerald. They have a greenish tint to them, but copper more accurately describes the coloration. Copper or bronze or whatever. But yeah, I was gonna say that the babies seem to latch on to mom. They stay with mom a lot longer in this line than in like northern Vietnam or Quoc Quang Vietnam lines that I've noticed. Even like second and third instar babies seem to really prefer hiding under the females. Alright, I'll just get a light spritz on the dry side. But yeah, the Kunming seem to be doing pretty good. Seems a lot of the small nymphs that I was worried were dying are just hiding in the cork. So that's good. And I just found a female carrying babies, so these are on the up and up. So that's good. I have noticed with Magnifica, they seem to prefer it in like the mid to low 80s. Anything much above 85 Fahrenheit seems a little excessive and perhaps stressful to Pseudoglomerus magnifica, so that is something I've recently observed. So, something I thought I'd throw out there. Like the histonyms that stay with the mom? Sort of. Histonyms have a very basic, maternal care. Babies stay with the mom, like the mom will kind of shelter them underneath her, like for maybe a few hours after they're born, but after that they scatter. Whereas the Pseudoglomerus magnifica nymphs seem to be very dependent on the moms and may in fact feed off of it seems like Pseudoglomerus magnifica probably have pores at the base of their legs that they secrete a mixture for the nymphs to feed up from, is what I think for first instars, because they sure don't survive long off of mom. Versus various Hissern nymphs that you could literally isolate them from mom right after she gave birth to them, and they would be fine. They eat normal roach foods. But that doesn't seem to be the case with Pseudoglomerus magnifica. I'm pretty sure the moms feed them a secretion from underneath. And the babies literally hold on to the mom's underside, like little parasites. And if they fall off of her, then they kind of, a lot of them are doomed unless they land on another female. So yeah, much more advanced maternal care than hissers. Much more. Got Aranavaga species Bakersfield, California, which are breeding well for me. I actually bred a California Aranavaga. Kyle has bred these too, but bred them before me. Still, seems like the California Aranavaga curse has been broken. We got a species that's easy to breed. I'm pretty sure Alan has bred a Aranavaga CF investigata from Florida as well. Not from Florida, from California. Yeah, Aranavaga CF investigata, which seems to be an obligate dune species, so requires sand substrate. But yeah, we're finally breaking through with getting lines of Aranavaga from California and being able to breed them. So that's huge. It's been kind of a U.S. Roach hobbyists peeve for a while, is being unable to breed California Aranavaga, being unable to get California Aranavaga. So yeah, this is awesome. There's a lot of species in California of Aranavaga that are not found outside of California. So kind of a huge pool of species there that aren't in the hobby that we would like to see in the hobby, for sure. Steelbits. It's not looking great. The Eremoblata subdiaphana. I still have not gotten. I have one male left. It has not matured. I'm worried. I have so many females that are unmated and may remain unmated for life if this male doesn't mature soon. My wild-caught female did not produce any viable ooths, so all that's left is to hope that my male matures and mates with all these virgin females. It's kind of an unusual problem for corridids. Usually it's the females that mature way slower than the males, but for Eremoblata, for whatever reason, it's been the opposite for me. It kind of sucks too, because I just want to see an adult male. I want to get photos of an adult male, because adult male Eremoblata look pretty cool. But yeah, it is a struggle. Yeah, I'm not even seeing the male at the moment, so I don't know where he is. Hopefully, somewhere alive in here. So I keep kind of like drying these out and then like wetting them again, kind of simulating a rainy period, which I think is what triggers them to mature, but we'll see. Let's see. Also been sprinkling some artificial pollen on top. I don't know if they're eating. Alright. Good enough. Here we have the northern Vietnam Pseudoglomerus magnifica. If you can't tell, there's a lot of babies at the moment. And they just really like hiding right under the gasket on these gasket bins. All over the lid, too. Convincing them to get off of the lid. They have such a good grip, which makes sense because they're an arboreal species, but my god, coercing them off of the plastic is annoying. Basically just flicking them off. I think that's it. Make sure none got out. Okay. Yeah, the northern Vietnam Pseudoglomerus magnifica, they are pretty prolific. Pretty hardy. Where is it? Compared to some of the other magnifica lines. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of babies this generation. Gotta get that apple. Yeah, these guys are doing pretty phenomenal for me. These magnifica from northern Vietnam. And I'm hoping this year I can finally breed magnifica from Cuc Phuong, Vietnam. Those have been giving me a headache. But I think I got a good group to work with this time. And I got adult pairs now, so hoping for babies any month now. Alright, let's do that. Just look at the side. Yeah, lots of babies, lots of females carrying babies. Love to see it. Misting. And fruit here. Should be good for the Magnifica. How do you make the little holes in the bins with this soldering iron? So I'll just like poke, the little tip of the soldering iron, and it won't go all the way down to to make. So you can make really tiny holes with it as long as you're careful with how far you poke into the plastic. That's what I use to make ventilation. It's not very professional. I wouldn't even really recommend that other people use it as well. It's horrible for like proper containment protocol and everything too for micro species. So I have Compstodes in almost everything because the babies are so small they just get out and get into a lot of my other bins. But for larger species that have babies larger than a couple millimeters, you can get away with using this for ventilation without escapes, but uh, only if you have a steady hand. And I would recommend actual mesh, micro mesh, proper professional ventilation stuff like that. I just don't have a drill or drill bits for that, and to be honest, can't be bothered to get them. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at. So yeah, I would not really advocate for the way that I do ventilation. It's also a huge pain in the butt to poke this many holes. To the amount of ventilation you'd need to be equivalent to a couple vents. I had to spend like half an hour to an hour poking tiny holes into a large bin, to get that amount of ventilation. It takes a lot of freaking time. I'm breathing in plastic fumes, probably not the best for me. Yeah, this is a pretty shoddy method of ventilation. I just have not had the wherewithal to get the materials needed to use actual proper vents, mesh ventilation, and stuff like that. Eventually, I will. I keep saying eventually I will. One day. But right now, this is working for me, so whatever. But yeah. Uh, how about you put Vaseline on the top sides of the lid? Well, here's the thing with that. I do have Vaseline's gross. It's thick and it's not even really that great of a climbing barrier. I prefer silicone oil. It's great. You put just a very thin layer around. It's water based. No, it's not water based. It's silicone, but it's food grade. The roaches can digest it if they have to clean it off of themselves, and they'll pass it just fine. It's fine. The and this is the stuff meant for adult lubrication. However, I only use it on certain species. I don't like using it on uh, the pseudoglomerus because if they don't have the ability to climb where they want to in the enclosure, they really seem to like resting under the gasket. And having an area where they like hiding prevents stress. And for some reason, the babies really seem to like that, but once they get bigger, then they start preferring the bark. But for those first two molts, I don't really want to stress them out by refusing them the ability to hide where they want to, even if it's inconvenient for me. They obviously prefer it to the bark hides for some reason. So I would rather they have that, and I just have the annoyance of flicking them down, rather than some of them potentially getting stressed and dying as a result, especially with a species as expensive and kind of slow to breed as Pseudoglomerus magnifica. So I choose the hard way for those. But for a lot of other climbing species, I do use the freaking silicone oil as the climbing barrier, but not for Pseudoglomerus magnifica. And again, it's really only the first few instars that do that. So once that baby wave is over, I don't really need to worry about it as much. Also, some of my enclosures are simply too short to use a gasket, not a gasket, a climbing barrier too. So that, like this Eurycotis Species Venezuela setup. Hello, Luca. Alright, here we got my Eustigaster buprestoides setup, which these guys seem to be doing well. Okay. Males are coming out to play. Not the best. Wait, let me get those out first. Yeah, the Eustigaster seem to be doing pretty well. I've had at least 2 broods that I know of, and they seem to be developing, so that's good. I'm excited about getting those breeding. It's been a long wait for me to get freaking Eustigaster buprestoides. Hi, Rishad. Rishad. Alright. And I'm sweating in here. Oh. These are my Paranophoeta not discoidalis, Paranophoeta formosona, which are doing pretty well now. My Formosan assassin mimics. And this is also home to my, I put a few Porcellio or Hoffmannseggi, whiteout females with a couple of Porcellio Hoffmannseggi orange males. And they have produced offspring in this setup, which pretty soon I'll have to isolate out of here. But they all look like wild type babies, but when crossed together, they will likely produce a mix of whiteouts, oranges, and hopefully the hope is that you get a double recessive trait, and I'll hopefully isolate out a yellow morph of Hoffmannseggi. And it'd probably be white out. The eyes would probably be yellow too, I think. I'm not sure actually. But yeah, that's the hope with those. That's the goal. Because that's been done with Porcellionides pruinosus in the same fashion. So if it's the same sort of genes that work there, then theoretically you should get a small percentage of yellow babies from that cross. But yeah, the Paranophoeta, like basically the same conditions a lot of the Spanish Porcellio do, so I just threw in those Hoffmannseggi into this setup and it worked. So there's also just a random Naphoeta cinerea female that came in with some hissers I got. That's just chilling in here. A couple extra Porcellio silvestri males. So a lot of this enclosure is pretty bioactive in the most sterile terms. I guess not even really the most sterile term. Like it's legitimately bioactive. You got springtails, you got isopods, you got multiple roach species. So Next up, we got the Coralampra fulgensioi, an epilamprid that is endemic to the Philippines. It was fairly recently described, around the time that they entered the hobby. But yeah, this is a very, very pretty strain, very pretty species of epilamprid, and seem to have their care down pretty well. They're doing very nicely for me. I've got several litters being born recently. Nymphs are developing well. Yeah, it seems the key with these, the Coralampra, is just to keep them very, very, very humid. Borderline wet. They seem to like a chunky substrate, lots of leaf litter, and they really dislike fungal growth, specifically like flower pot fungus. So apparently they really, really hate that stuff. So if you got that building up in your enclosure, you may just want to rehouse the dang things. Other than that, they're pretty easy. Just keep them consistently moist and topped off with leaf litter. And they're gonna do okay. Here we have a Euchordia Westwoodi setup. So these guys have bred nicely this season. Lots of babies, lots of ooths being laid. Oh yeah. Yeah, these guys did great. They did great this year. Beautiful, beautiful little choroidid species. If I can get one camera. Very pretty. Of course, not going to really capture on camera well here on the webcam, but beautiful iridescence on them, like blue-green iridescence on the pronotum, like basically purplish iridescence on the little heart spots on the wing, and then a nice bright orange, reddish orange coloration, the base coloration for the elytra. It's just an absolutely stunning cockroach. So, really glad got these in a culture. I am curious. Kyle says he's getting adults, and he did not give his a diapause. And in my experience, the adults that I had that matured without a diapause did not live for more than a few weeks, and pretty much they all died very quickly and did not produce any viable ooths. Whereas the ones I gave a diapause are much longer lived and have produced a ton of babies. So uh, it'd be interesting if he broke the diapause on his, but we'll see. I remain skeptical. Then we have Euchroidia linglong, which is another temperate Chinese Euchroidia. These guys are also doing phenomenal, producing lots of babies. I kind of struggled with this species for a little bit, but finally I have them popping off, so I'm quite happy about that. Really, all I needed to do was slightly decrease the ventilation to where they had slightly higher air humidity, and that seems to have done wonders. Yeah, I'm thinking of maybe doing an auction for the for linglong, starting at like $1 on bootleggers, maybe. Maybe. I got quite a few offspring from these guys. And compared to West Woody, not a lot of people have been buying the linglong, and I kind of really want to make sure these get established here in the U.S. So I might do that just to get them better set up here. Yeah, let's see if I can show off one of these linglong males. I really love the linglongs because they're multicolored and hard to see on these guys as well, but they got very beautiful blue iridescence to them. At the tips of their wings, the blue is honestly more vibrant, in my opinion, than that of the Euchroidia yasumatsui, which are like entirely blue. But yeah, I think these guys have been beat in the vibrance of the blue coloration but just on the tips of the wings. And then they got some nice white velvety bands going through, and then just a base coloration of metallic greenish blue with some orange abdominal striping. So yeah, very, very pretty roach. Pictures don't do them justice. Finally, kind of got into the groove of breeding these, so should be able to make them pretty widely available. I think I'm gonna give it a little bit of some bark because the baby seems to like aggregating underneath bark. So add some more of that. Actually, I'm gonna put some more in the West Woody. I need to start hurrying up here. I'm pretty behind on what I need to be doing. But it's nice to have lunch in front of the stream. The time difference is perfect. Well, that's good. Glad that's a convenient timing for you, Luca. And yeah, the Eucordia are absolutely gorgeous, for sure. Got a lot of Vaga here to get through. One interesting thing I'll note that I've observed recently is so I got some Penistia angustipennis spatica, which is a black, completely black subspecies of Penistia angustipennis. Even the nymphs are just completely black, no orange markings. And those are from Japan, I believe. Oops, I don't think I picked up. But supposedly, from everyone I've talked to or read about on that species, that subspecies, supposedly that subspecies eats nothing but rotten wood. They even as nymphs, they just don't consume dog food or fruits with any regularity. And I thought that was a little odd because most other Penistia and Gustipennis subspecies do readily consume other food sources in addition to the rotten and and when offered those alternative food sources alongside the rotten rather than just rotten exclusively, they tend to grow much faster too. But everyone was saying, no, I've tried offering alternative foods to my Spatica, and they just refuse to eat it. So, regardless, I decided to offer mine, dog food and apple slices, just like all my other Penistinae. And lo and behold, they are eating it just as readily as any other Penistia. So I don't really know what the whole deal is there, but yeah, I mean, they have small appetites compared to other roaches, so maybe people just think that they're not eating, but I can very clearly see that they are eating the supplemental foods I give them at a rate comparable with other Penistia species. So yeah, that's kind of weird. That I don't know where that misconception started, but yeah, they eat supplemental foods too, just fine, and I assume they will grow much faster as a result of having that protein and fruit in their diet, extra nutrients. So yeah, but hopefully I'll have adults of those by this time next year, and hopefully they breed just as easily as the other Angustipennis subspecies I have. I do love me some Penistine. And an update on my Procelio ornatus no, Cresselia expansus, Witch's Potion from Orin. So, like, the initial group I had was very female heavy, maybe exclusively females. I did have some die off initially as they acclimated to my care. So, some of those may have been males. But basically, I'm left with only a few females. And thankfully, Orin is trading me, not this week, but next week. Um, he'll be sending out a male for my females plus some mixed sizes. And I think Kyle's going to send me some too. So I should be able to get a good group of those going. Finally breed Orin's Witch's Potion Expanses, which are some of the prettiest isopods in the hobby, in my opinion. I gotta get some, now that my females are a good size, I gotta get some good pictures of them and show those because they are really, really pretty. This is my Pseudoglamorous Magnifica Cook Fwang enclosure. I am still on the fence as to whether they need more substrate or not. Not more substrate, more ventilation. Also, there's a few Eustelastobletta diafauna that got in here that I've been trying to smash as I see so that they don't breed in here. Some Compsodies too. But yeah, the Cook Fwangs, I can't tell if they need ventilation or not, but I'm trying to keep things high air humidity but low surface humidity, which seems to be the preferred gradient for Pseudoglamorous Magnifica. But I really went all out with these. They got a planted setup with freaking live pothos cuttings in here. Also, my remaining Parasphaerus flavipes from Singapore, which is an iridescent copper species of Parasphaerus, which sadly doesn't look like I'm going to breed. My wild-caught females don't appear to be gravid anymore, and there's no more male to mate with some of the virgin females that are in here, so I think I failed with those. But apparently that species is known to be, by Asian breeders, like very finicky, at least when acclimating wild-caught specimens to captivity. So now they're doing fine for me, but I screwed up by keeping them too humid from the get-go, I think. And that kind of destroyed them, so destroyed my chances of breeding them. However, I will be getting a line of the same species from Kalimantan, Malaysia, from a friend of mine, probably next month. And his are multi-generational captive bred. They have acclimated to captivity. They're not nearly as finicky as wild caught stock, so I should be able to actually breed them. So I'm hopeful that once I get those, I will finally be able to breed Parasphaerus flavipes. I've tried twice so far with that species, so this will be my third attempt. Hopefully they breed when I get that Malaysian stock. And now that I have a better understanding of their care as well, I think I'll have success. I'll finally have a nice metallic Parasphaerus. Which, granted, I also have a metallic Parasphaerus from the Philippines that's supposed to be pretty easy to breed, so as those mature, we'll see how those do. But yeah, I remain cautiously optimistic that we will hopefully have at least 1 or 2 species of metallic Parasphaerus, that is the roly-poly roaches, established in the U.S. hobby in the next year or two. So look forward to that. Here's no. The only thing that slightly worries me with these Cook Fongs is that their enclosure's got quite a bit of freaking Leucocoprinus growing on the moist side of the substrate. But in the same breath, Pseudoglomyrus don't really interact with the substrate unless they absolutely have to, so it shouldn't really make a big deal. Shouldn't be a big deal to them. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about that. Alright, I'm gonna go fill up my water bottle again, though. I'll be right back. And yes, Luca, you should try roaches one day. You should. Yeah, roaches are my favorite of all invertebrates. They are my favorite. There are some others that, hold a special place in my heart, but like darklings and isopods. But roaches will always be number one for me. Also, I will say with the Parasphaerus flavipes, I am tempted, if I have spare males in my original group of the my starter group of the Parasphaerus flavipes from Kalimantan, Malaysia, I am considering just dumping one of those males in with the ones from Singapore and making a locality cross, just to get a backup culture of that species going and to not waste those Singapore females, because it kind of feels bad that they're healthy, but they're just not, probably don't have any sperm retained in the wild caught ones, and the captive reared females are virgins, so it just seems like a waste of females. So I might locality cross those, and sometimes locality crosses can create hardier strains too, so yeah, I might consider it. Though I would prefer to just get more Singaporean individuals and try to get a male of that strain again, but it may not be in the cards, so. I know if Alan's watching this, he's probably cringing at the thought of a locality cross, but you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Look, maybe when I have a little more room, I'll consider buying some. Yeah, you should. Roaches are awesome. And a little less care intensive than darklings in terms of breeding. Because generally speaking, you don't need to isolate different life stages of roaches, as opposed to most darklings where you at least have to isolate larvae for pupation. And Eucordia forceps are giving me some trouble. I have not had good luck with getting these to mature out at decent rates. Oh, thank God! There we go. Finally, have an adult male. So there were several adult females, and there's at least one right now. So hopefully, he does his job. I've been needing an adult male to get my females mated. All right. Hope remains for these. Get him some fruit and pollen. All right, that's good. That's This is I got a single female Porcellanites, probably pruinosis from St. George, Utah, and it produced some offspring. So I've isolated it and some of its babies to its own deli cup because I have a culture of confirmed pruinosis from here in Idaho, but there's a different locality from Utah that may or may not be the same species. I figure I'll hold on to them and breed them, set up a new colony. Who knows? Maybe something interesting will come out of them. That can't possibly be. Holy shit! I collected. Oh, X. No. I collected a single pair of Grylus field crickets here in Kuna. I'm not. Come on. I'm not exactly sure the species. I need to rehouse them first of all. I'm not exactly sure the species of Grylus. I think it's probably Grylus velidus, but I'm not sure. But the point is, I collected them maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Both adults are still alive, and there's already babies. So that's kind of crazy. I was not expecting them to breed that fast at all. But Yeah, holy crap. That's pretty incredible. That's a very fast turnaround for a field cricket. I feel like literally just a couple weeks and eggs already hatched. Holy crap! So that's cool. That's one of the. That means it's a species without an egg diapause, which means it'll probably be pretty easy to breed without a diapause consistently. So wow, that's cool. They're kind of a neat looking Grylus too, very squat. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure what species they are, but I like them. Yeah. Youth Lastibada abortiva have been kind of giving me some trouble lately. Not exactly sure what's going on, but I'm not getting very consistent hatches out of them anymore, which is weird. And so I kind of revamped their enclosure recently, which I'm hoping helps. These I need to rehouse. I think I have adults now. The Polyphaga Caesuri's giant sand roach. They're probably the largest sand roach out there. And they're big. The strain we have from, I forget if it's Uzbekistan or Turkmenistan, but one of those countries. That's the strain we have in the hobby out here in the West, and they are parthenogenetic, all females. I'd love to one day get one of the sexually reproducing lines of this species, because they do exist. Um, hoping I can get some sexually reproducing Polyphaga obscura in the future too. Any Polyphaga obscura would be nice. Yeah, nice. It's growing well, but yeah, they don't seem to stunt. Even grown in a small enclosure, that's a pretty big adult, so that's cool. But I need to rehouse these to something at least like 3 times this size. More Aeronavana. What is Luca? They're more easy than darklings. Yes, I really like Daria Olegrangini. Yes, the question mark roaches. I love those too. One of my favorites in that genus. At the moment, I'm trying to find drain moth flies to make a food source for juvenile spiders. Well, I hope you can find some. They're pretty easy to breed. The hardest part, honestly, is sourcing them and or collecting them yourself in breedable numbers. I recommend an aspirator. Um, And yeah, you just got to find a spot that actually has them and hope they pop up in numbers sufficient enough for you to collect a breeding group of. Alright. Aranavaga Grata, Mount Ord. Are not. We've got adult pairs now. It does not seem like the females are laying eggs, though, that I can tell. So that's a bit annoying, but what can you do? But yeah, we'll have to wait and see on those, I guess. I don't know why this species is such a headache for me. Out of all the Aranavaga, these have given me the most issue. But there doesn't really seem to be a consensus on why they breed well for some and do bad for others. But I don't know. I'm trying this time. I got them on a mix of sand and jungle mix, Zilla's jungle mix, which is a very chunky, like fir bark mixture. Because supposedly this species likes it really chunky, coarse substrate. So I'm trying that out and we'll see what happens. But they've been a little bit of a pain. I'll say that much. I got Aranavaga species Miller Canyon, which are finally breeding for me. I got, I think, like 3 nymphs and an ooth that Alan sent me from wild-caught nymphs and an ooth from a wild-caught female. And from that, I think all those nymphs that he sent were females, but then the ooth hatched, and from that came some males, and those mated with the females, and then yeah, they've bred now. So I've got a colony of these going, which is awesome. Pretty long odds, but managed to salvage a breeding group out of that. And here we got some Deropeltis pollinoi, which is a very pretty species of ornate velvet roach, which I'm hoping will breed well for me. I'm giving Deropeltis another good old college try. I think I just need to keep them a lot more humid than I have in the past, because it seems high humidity is essential to getting the Uthica to hatch. And the nymphs and adults themselves don't really seem to mind high humidity as long as there's adequate ventilation. So, yeah, I'm going to give these some egg crates. They've had just a single paper towel, cardboard roll hide for a while, so this will give them more space to grow out. Pseudoglomerus tarsalis, the black, the golden-footed roach, but it's basically just the black version of Pseudoglomerus magnifica. A little bit smaller. Females are a little bit more elongate, but other than that, they're basically just black magnifica that breed faster and are more hardy. So it's a good. I consider this species a good, gateway roach to getting into Pseudoglomerus magnifica. You should start with Tarsalis, then move on to Magnifica. I did it backwards. I started with Magnifica, then moved on to Tarsalis. Ironically, I had a little bit of an issue with breeding Tarsalis initially, but that was because I kept them way too dry, way too little air humidity, and they did not do well as a result. But little less ventilation, little more air humidity, and they bred just fine. Here we have Eustelastoblatus species Everglades, which are really doing not great for me for whatever reason. Very, very, very sporadic hatches and poor survival rates. I'm not really sure what to attribute to that. But yeah, these are not doing so hot. Psychoptera poii, the little Florida beetle mimic roach. These guys are adorable, but kind of finicky. Kind of very finicky. But it looks like I got a colony of them going again. And these are another species that they really, really, really seem to like climbing the smooth plastic. And if I put a climbing barrier, I notice a high mortality rate of small nymphs. So I don't use a climbing barrier, even though they are very, very annoying in terms of their climbing. So, but with how finicky these guys are, I would rather deal with that than deal with a bunch of dead babies that got stressed because they don't have proper climbing areas. Yeah, it looks like their population's growing pretty steadily, so that's good. Alright. One thing my bathroom is infested, but I never thought of raising them until I saw your guides, and then I start looking for them that I can't find any. Yeah, that's kind of how it is with mothflies. They come and go in waves normally, but hopefully you'll have another boom of them shortly, and then you can collect some and get a culture going. I should be getting a new species of mothfly soon. There's a researcher who's been doing research on mothflies and has been getting a lot of mothflies from me, and they collected a species. I forget the name, but they're basically like a bright, like white cream color. The adults, and he caught a group of those, and he's got them breeding, and they're breeding very well for him. So he will hopefully be trading me some of those soon. So that would be nice. And I keep asking Kyle for a Psychota species. I thought Kyle had a Psychota species of mothfly. But every time I ask him, he just doesn't say anything about them, and then I never get them in the boxes he sends me. So maybe he does not have those anymore, and maybe he just really doesn't want to pack them. um, yeah, I want a Psychota species. I used to have one, but that was back when I didn't really understand mothfly care that well, and I did not give them ventilation, so they gassed themselves pretty quickly. Or rather, I gassed them by feeding them dog food, and then it rotted, and then they had no oxygen, so they just died. So yeah, that sucked. And then I haven't been able to find Psychota again. It was one place we were staying at for like a couple weeks. That was the only place I ever found Psychota. Oh boy. Melanozosteria soror are doing phenomenally. This is a species I was having a lot of difficulty with, and now all of a sudden they're doing fantastic. I think it's basically the adults, the larger nymphs and adults seem to just be pretty territorial. So if they're not in a large enough, if they don't have enough hides, they kind of just murder each other, I think. But I gave them more hides, and then they started breeding super prolifically. I have tons of babies. And I'm going to give them some more hides right now, some egg crate. There's a couple dead adults, but nothing too concerning. Yeah, these are a nice little species from Hawaii. They're not native to Hawaii, but our stock comes from there. Yeah, our stock comes from Hawaii, and they are, I think, native to the old world, probably like New Zealand or Australia, maybe Asia, but somewhere over there is where they're thought to be native to. And they're really neat black species with a cream border to them, so I got some color. I like them. And I wish they were a little more popular in the hobby. Since this is, I mean, kind of as close as we got to Polyzosteria for now. Hopefully that will change. Polyzosteria are in the Chinese hobby now, so if they get them established over there, it's only a matter of time until we have them here in the U.S. Well, a matter of time and money, I should say. They are going for a lot over there. A lot. Now, someone could get me something really, really rare from South America, like Melliroidia or something. I mean, that'd be great in its own right, but then trades could possibly be done for some of those Australian Polyzosteria in China, but they really are concerned mostly with selling, not trading. So, at least when it comes to the Australian species. So I hear. We got Satchel. Yeah. Hi, Satchel. Yeah, some of the stuff over there goes for such crazy prices. They definitely take it to the extremes over there. I think they were charging some hobbyist got what is probably an undescribed species of Nocticola. And the thing with Chinese hobbyists over there, at least roach hobbyists, is if they catch a species that they think is undescribed or of scientific value, they contact like cockroach taxonomists over there. They know them, and they sell them to them. And they start at very high prices because they know, the taxonomists want to get that stuff described. They want to do their research on them. And these suppliers, these vendors that are catching these roaches are the only ones that know where they are. So they sell them for very high prices, mainly aimed at researchers. But of course, any pet hobbyists have to pay the same price too. Yeah, so that's a thing over there, kind of exploitation of the academia side. So that's why some of the native Chinese stuff goes for that prices, and then stuff like from Australia, it's kind of understandable because they smuggle them out of Australia. Like a lot of them are just like Chinese students going over to Australia for vacation or for a school trip, and then they smuggle them back. So it's pretty high risk, high reward. So you can kind of understand some of the higher prices there, but some of them are just ludicrous. But yeah, it's just how it goes over there. And then, but then any on the opposite side of that, any like common Chinese species that are like relatively easy to find are probably described. Um, they sell for very cheap over there. Um, sell very cheap to each other over there. But if they get a whiff that you're an American, they will up the prices usually. American or European. Try to squeeze more money out of you. Which, I mean, to be completely fair, it's kind of understandable. But it can also be a little frustrating. Still no babies from my mite harvestmen, by the way. I kind of think those are not taken off. I think I just ran out of luck there and ended up with a unisex group, probably. So that's sad. Hopefully, Alan or maybe you, Satchel, can possibly collect me more in the future. Though I realize they are not very common. I mean, even if they were, it'd be hard to know. They're pretty small. But, yeah. Mm-hmm. Did recently get a package from Yorg. by the way, and unfortunately, due to the heat, there were some uh, quite a few die-offs. So I won't be getting another package from Yorg until the fall. Uh, but he graciously offered to send replacements for that stuff in the fall, so that's good. But the things that did arrive alive, they were mainly acquired from York by me at Kyle's request. Was Lucio Medica Vericosa Venezuela. So we have a locality line of Vericosa here now, and which I have a pair of. I held back up a single pair, and then the rest I sent to Kyle. And Opistoplatia orientalis, which I kept like 10 for myself and sent Kyle like 30. So, yeah. So we got Opistoplatia back because apparently those died out like this year here in the US pretty much. Or at least if anyone else has them, they haven't spoken up. So we got more from Yorg in a panic. But yeah, we got those back now, so that's good. And this will be my first time keeping Opistoplatia orientalis as well, so I'm excited to see adults of those. You do that, they're well established. Yeah, they're well established in every other hobby, every other country, Satchel, but here in the US, no one likes epilamprids. So those have kind of slowly fallen out of favor in the hobby. And then all it took was a few people having crashes, and boom, we pretty much lost them. Again, there's probably like one or two people in the US that still have them, but just aren't really in the main circles that a lot of us frequent. So they're probably still here, but uh, you know, not readily available. Not just kind of secretly here probably. So just in case they were actually gone, we got more from Yorg. So they live on. Yeah, the 6 people with big collections, exactly. Well, the 6 people with big collections, so like Ty, Junior, Kyle, Alan, I guess me, sort of, Brandon Maines, etc. They all lost them. So the people that still maybe had them would probably be smaller hobbyists that aren't really involved in online much. Um, but finding out that those people have them is difficult. So we run with the assumption that no one has them, and got more just in case. But yeah, it's just one of those old hobby species that just kind of fell out of favor with the introduction of newer, flashier ones, and then all of a sudden, no one has them. Hey, I got baby. Finally, fucking baby. CF Anaplecta species, Redlands, Florida. Awesome. I was expecting babies from those any day now, so glad it finally happened. I still need to get pictures of my adults. I have not done that. Yeah, cute little species from Florida. Probably invasive, and the ID is very tentative. So, yeah. Nice. Finally bred those. Nice. Yeah. I finally got a breeding group of Forficula dentata. It's either dentata or dentipes. I think it's dentata. One of the European earwigs. And this is the only one in the state of Idaho, so. Yeah, I got a breeding group of those, so hopefully those will take off. Speaking of earwigs, so here's something interesting. I don't think I've talked about this yet. But I have a species of earwig from Utah that I've tentatively identified as Euborrelia annulipes because they both look like that species, and as far as I can tell, that is the only species recorded from uh, Utah. But according to the literature, the first original description or first few original records of Euborrelia annulipes, they uh, they reference that some adults have wings, but in all observable like U.S. populations or whatever, and not even just U.S. populations, but I think most populations in general, they are both sexes are uh, not even Micropterus; they just lack wings completely. And so it, according to Bug Guide, those reports of adults with wings are currently thought to be like erroneous, probably just individuals of a different species, right? However, the founding individuals of my Annulipes colony, both male and female, were completely wingless, and the majority of adults that they have produced are still wingless. However, some of the adults are coming out fully winged, and they're slightly paler than they're more brown versus the black wingless adults, and they're very clearly the same species though. They got like the same forceps shape, same, the nymphs look the same, except the ones that end up being winged actually have like enlarged thoracic pads before maturing. But it's very clearly not two species mixed together. They all were Annulipes, or at least what I think are Annulipes. So they were all Micropterus adults, both males and females, and they're producing mostly Micropterus adults, but some have wings. So I don't know what's up with that. That might be an environmental like trigger that gives them wings. But if that's the case, if I got the ID right, basically, this is potentially kind of a significant finding that yes, the species actually does have winged adults, but it might be an environmental trigger that makes them have wings rather than the norm. I don't know. So kind of interesting. I don't really know what's going on with that. So I got to get pictures and actually submit them for a proper ID because I just identified this strain myself. So I'm not an expert on Dermatera, but it seems like there's pretty limited options in Utah for what they could be. So yeah, we'll see. But I'm interested to see what comes of that. Yeah. Ellen says they likely need to die past multiple generations of the. I assume you're talking about the European earwigs, which yeah, I agree. Which I'll literally just stick them in my garage during the winter. And congrats on the babies from the Anisolabus maritima. That's awesome. That is actually a species I'm looking to get. So yeah, hopefully you establish a nice colony of those. I will be interested in those if you do. Maybe try to select for wings in case it's genetic. Maybe. If I get enough popping up, I might try that. But I feel like it might be environmental or just random. It's kind of like the Tagaloblatta species, of which we have two in the hobby now, in the U.S. hobby, by the way. But uh, both the Tagaloblatta species we have, like both males and females, randomly come out either micropterous or fully winged, and in that case, it doesn't seem to be genetic because I isolated fully winged adults by themselves, and they produced both half winged and full winged adults. And at a very even rate, too. Not even mostly fully winged, it was pretty much 50-50. And it's not sex linked. And they're kept at a very consistent temperature and humidity, so I don't feel like it's not like environmental triggers necessarily. So I really don't know what the deal is with Tagalogata. They're just weird. But so I do wonder if it's something like that, just kind of random with the earwigs, or if it is more uh, more of an observable cause. So I guess we'll see. Yeah, there's also some kind of cryptic species complex with Euborelia. I think one of the other species that was introduced in the U.S. Usually winged, but sometimes unwinged. I think that would be there's an African species of Euborelia in the U.S. I think those are the ones that are mostly winged, but sometimes unwinged. And variable wing length has been observed in other species of earwigs, by the way, like Mariva arachidis, and I think some of the other Mariva species. It's like documented on Bug Guide that some adults come out with long wings and either bigger or smaller heads, and then some come out with uh, smaller wings, and again, either bigger or smaller heads. I forget which wing length the head size is associated with, but they have different wing lengths and head sizes within the same species, which is kind of weird. But so yeah, that's the thing with Marva. So it's not, not really a stretch for other earwigs to have that happen too. But it is kind of weird when you go from fully winged to not winged at all. Even their population density could be a trigger. Longer wings, yeah, possibly. Could be population density related. Would make sense with the Euborelia too, because I only started getting winged adults once my colony was like popping off. At the beginning, I feel like the first two generations was really just all wingless adults. But now that the substrate's basically full of the damn things, now I'm getting winged ones. So that might be the trigger there. Also, I got a Urgaula capucina back recently. Um, Burmese beetle mimics. I forget who I got them off of. Maybe Ty. It's Ty or Brandon. Um, I think it might have been Brandon. I can't remember. But yeah, I these are another one of those old hobby stock species that I feel like is falling out of favor and probably will be at risk here soon of going extinct. Because like when people keep Urgawa now, most people go for the big black ones, the CF Sulfoides X pilosa, but because they're bigger, basically twice as big as these. But I like Capucina's markings more, so yeah, I'm breeding Capucina again, and I'll just keep them going because I feel like it's probably inevitable they're gonna fall out of favor, and if people start crashing for some reason, we're gonna need as many people with them as possible. Oh, well. Well, I guess my Eurycotis improcera are breeding again. There's a bunch of babies. There's a lot of babies. My God, there's a lot of baited mites in there right now. So, alright, let's just do this. Concrete. Let's get a little bit more. I think I gotta head out here soon. It was good talking to you. Yeah, good talking to you too, Satchel. Thanks for dropping by. Hope you have a good day. Oh, yeah. Kyle, so this is my Hermetica strumosa colony. Kyle says he started getting decent reproduction from his Hermetica, and he just thinks the key is like super high humidity. And substrate composition, he doesn't think that matters. It's just really, really high, swampy humidity, basically. Not too much ventilation. So I am going to try to replicate that, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I kind of believe Kyle on that because I'm finding a lot of things that I've tried with in the past that I failed with in terms of roaches. It seems like lowering ventilation and bumping humidity has been helping with a lot of them. Like one good example is Hebardina ugandana. I tried keeping that species before, but I kept them well ventilated with a proper humidity gradient and all that. But well ventilated here in Idaho equals pretty low air humidity because the air humidity is super low. And while now I have a humidifier in my room that helps greatly, still seems decreasing humidity for some of these more moisture loving species, and then decreasing ventilation and increasing humidity um, seems to be the way to go. And so now I'm breeding Hebardina ugandana for the first time, and this is the first time I am the first person in the U.S. to breed Hebardina ugandana now, which is awesome, but not super impressive because quite a few people in Europe breed them like they're feeders. And it really seems the only reason why those of us in the U.S. who have tried to breed them have not been successful is because we were working with wrong information. Now that we know humidity is the key to getting those to breed, I assume those few hobbyists who are actually interested in that species, we're going to have no problem keeping them going. I say few people, but they might have decent feeder potential, so if that's the case, they might gain popularity beyond those few of us that like the really roachy roaches. Time 5:33. Yikes. Man, I'm only gonna get one rack done today, probably. That's it's not great. I'll really have to blast through maintenance tomorrow. But I got a late start today, so oh well. Mosquito bits in here. So Venezuela I got some from the Everglades, Florida line. I think that's the only line in culture. But these guys are doing okay for me, but they're very, very slow breeders. They have very, very small broods, but they are starting to grow in numbers pretty well, and I feel like they're going to be one of those species that once they start really popping off, there's no stopping them. At least I'm hoping that's the case. Um, yeah, cute little species. I really like them. Got a very like bluish gray coloration to them. So they seem to be doing well, so that's nice. Marva rachitis. Richard, I'm gonna give these a little bit of bark. Some bark action. These guys need more hides. That. Mm. Alright. And here we have Hemiblabra granulata from Guadalupe. She's one of those weird, like Central South American like islands that's technically owned by a larger mainland country, specifically France in this case. But yeah, these guys are neat. A neat small species of Hemiblabra, probably the smallest Hemiblabra in culture. It's a decent sized female right there. But they're cool. They got a very like granulated texture to them, hence the name granulata. Easy to breed, just as easy as any of the other Hemiblabra species. Just keep them humid, a couple inches of substrate, and feed them normal roach foods, and they breed at room temperature or warmer. Really cute little species, and one that's pretty uncommon in the U.S. hobby right now. Galabletta, Okinawa. These guys could use a larger setup as well. Nah. I should probably house these guys in like a gallon container soon. Give them some egg crates, get them breeding even better. These are another great species I think has great feeder potential. The winged adults can climb and fly, but the Micropteris adults cannot climb, and neither can the nymphs. So a good portion of the population can't climb, They don't burrow, pretty surface active. I think they make good microfeeders. So I'm hoping people start using them as such. This is my Grylus CF firmus colony from Fort Morgan, Alabama. These guys are also a very prolific and hardy Grylus species that I think will be a good feeder species. Yeah, these guys are nice. Fairly large for a Grylus too. And, Epistoplatia orientalis seem to be doing well. Which isn't that surprising. It's not a difficult epilamprid to keep. Speaking of epilamprids, though, I should be getting Rhabdoblata imperatrix and the Rhabdoblata cavernicollis species of Rhabdoblata by the end of August. Maybe early September. So I'm really looking forward to those. The cavernicollis species of Rhabdoblata just look weird as hell. And then the imperatrix are bigger than some Blabberus. So very very large Rhabdoblata species. Now both are temperate Chinese species that may need a diapause or at least just a very mild cooling. In fact, I don't think either species likes it much above 75 even in the summer. So those are room temperature species, I would say. But I mean, other than that, the care seems to be fairly standard for Rhabdoblata. Just keep them really, really humid. And don't let them dry out. Don't let them run out of leaf litter. Don't let them get too overpopulated or dirty. So that is to say, not the easiest of roaches to keep, but still not super difficult. And these will be captive bred nymphs as well. So yeah, I'm excited to work with those. Here's a peppered roach, by the way, Archimandrita. Well, this is the hobby stock Archimandrita tessellata, but they might actually be Archimandrita marmorata. The jury's still out on that. We have some larger strains from Panama that are probably actual tessellata. But again, the jury is out on that. But yeah, I love these guys. These pepper roaches. They're so big, very pretty. I got several pairs now, so hopefully I'll have babies soon-ish. These. I'm gonna go fill up my water bottle, by the way. I'll be right back. So after I'm done with this shelf, which I'm coming up on finishing, I'm probably gonna get off the stream here and start prepping. I still gotta cook food for my lunch this week and all that, so that will take time. So I'll probably start getting started on that and finish maintenance up tomorrow. Tomorrow morning? No, the day after tomorrow morning. I don't know. My tomorrow morning. So, yeah. But finish up these few species. If anyone has any questions or anything, let me know now. Excited to see these mature. I got the French Guiana strain of Eublaberus posticus. So those will be neat to see mature. It's a very dark mottled strain of Eublaberus posticus. And truth be told, I've never seen, never even seen real, not real. I've never seen the normal hobby stock Eublaberus posticus. So I really have no idea how big these things are supposed to get before maturing. Some of them are getting pretty sizable, so hopefully I'll have adults in a few months. And just finish these up as well. These are Varia Olegrangini. I remember Luca was talking about those. Really nice. Really nice coloration to them. The males especially, a lot of them come out with like this, the white connects the question mark marking with what would normally just be a spot on the back. And so that's kind of cool. That's a trait that a lot of people have tried to select for over the years, but it doesn't seem to be especially heritable. It seems slightly heritable, but not very easily. So it's not like a simple recessive or anything like that. It's pretty much a line bred trait. So it'd be cool to get a line that had that coloration consistently, but at the same time, I do kind of like just the crisp, normal question mark markings as well. Alright, then we have Eublabrus marigoera, which I'm actually using Egg Crate. I threw some in here as a test. Actually, are using it, so. Yeah, marigoera is a species. Again, one that I kind of struggled with breeding, but I think I got their husbandry figured out now. So I got a new group and seem to be doing well so far. So hopefully I'll be able to breed these and then make them available. So people have been asking me about them. That. Slice up piece. Got my Fireness Maisie right here, which is now molted twice in my care. I think it's male, but I could be wrong. He's due for a feeding here. Got Hyperichnota Ledomorpha Panama. I may have an female actually. Oh wait, no, this is not the Panama. This is a species Venezuela actually. Which again, it seems the key to these may just be to keep them on a deep and very, very moist substrate with minimal ventilation. So that's what I'm doing. But of course, worst case scenario, I set some to Ty Randall because he excels with these types of roaches. So better safe than sorry. And he sent me some Hyperichnota Ledomorpha Panama. So, and I have both Hyperichnota species in culture. So hopefully, I can breed both of them. So that would be nice. Couple random colonies here. Rhinoceros, Picacellus. Picacellus. So I have Picacellus Cernomensis dark, right? Which over the years, as I've been breeding them, they seem to be getting less dark. They look more normal. And I tried line breeding for the darkness too, and that doesn't really seem to help. So I do wonder if the darkness was more of a... Oh my god, there's so many baby Picacellus in here. I am starting to wonder if that's more of an environmentally related thing. Like these are still darker than like average Pregnosus ceratamensis, but they're not nearly as dark as they were when I got them. So I don't really know what to label them as anymore. I'm just gonna stick to dark, not black. But it's kind of disappointing, to be honest. The transition back to almost normal coloration. Holy crap, though! There's a ton of baby Pregnosus in there. Alright. And then we just got some tiny little snails here. Which actually I'm just gonna dump food. Chickpea. Not chickpea. Mosquito bits. And just like that. Alright, but with that, guys, I do think I'm going to get going here. So I put all these guys back where they belong. But thank you to everyone who joined in on the stream. Thank you to everyone who will watch the Dead stream. And you guys all have a thing. But I hope you all have a good night, good day, and have fun. Stay buggy. I don't know. I need a slogan. I need a catchphrase. But all right, guys. See ya.